showdown between two of the top teams from the Southeastern Conference and the ACC. Most preseason polls have both Louisville and Ole Miss ranked near the top of their conferences, so this will be an exciting matchup. Reserve your seats today. Go to NashvilleSports.com/Music City Kickoff. That's NashvilleSports.com/Music City Kickoff.
I'm Emmett Smith. Opioid poisonings cause the most accidental deaths in the U.S., and I've lost loved ones. But now I'm prepared to save a life. Just remember, lay, spray, stay. Lay the person on their back, use Narcan nasal spray, dial 911, and stay with the person until help arrives. Continue to administer additional doses as needed. And opioid poisoning can happen to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Always be ready to rescue. Learn more at readytorescue.com.
Do you ever feel like gambling is causing financial strain or hurting your relationships? The Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling habits for over 2 decades. With physical clinics and remote online appointments, we're here to help you make informed decisions about your gambling. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com so we can work together to help you win back your life. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Brought to you by the Tennessee Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
This is a Game Nashville Sports Network weather update.
Here is your latest Middle Tennessee weather. Tonight, there is a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mainly between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., expect partly cloudy skies with a low around 78. Tuesday will be mostly sunny and hot, with a high near 98. Heat index values could reach 114. There is a slight chance of storms after 3 p.m. Tuesday night brings a 30% chance of showers before 2 a.m. Wednesday. Looks mostly sunny with a high near 90. From the Game Nashville Sports Network, I'm Selma Bouvier.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Green Ventures Landscaping knows your customers. Start judging your business before they ever walk through the front door.
Wow, did we get a new building owner?
Nope. Green Ventures Landscaping redesigned the landscaping, upgraded the hardscapes, and now keeps everything looking incredible. From office buildings and medical facilities to apartments and retail centers, your property says everything about your business. Let Green Ventures Landscaping help you make the right first impression. Green Ventures Landscaping. Design, build, maintain.
Make your Yellowstone area vacation unforgettable at the Buffalo Bills Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. 5 family-friendly museums packed with wildlife, art, culture, and authentic Western experiences. Plan your adventure now at centerofthewest.org.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
35 years of the best sports talk in Nashville. It's the George Plaster Show with Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame quarterback Kelly Holcomb and young gun Lewis Maddox. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a hot, beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. After all, it's late July. This is exactly what we would expect. We got a great show for you today. We're going to get into Texas Longhorn football with Mike Craven at 3:20, and then Kelly's old teammate and SEC analyst, and a really good one, Chris Doering, will join us at 4 p.m. Let me start off before I get to both Kelly and Lewis. I'll just tell you, I'm fired up. We had a great Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame induction ceremony Saturday out at the BGA's Entrepreneurial Center. We now know that we had right at 300 people at the event, making it perhaps the largest turnout we've ever had for a ceremony. I'm really fired up. Bob Kessling, in the last 6 weeks as our president, what he has done is beyond belief. He was able to raise, I'm probably not supposed to give out the number, something like $35,000. And we have created a George DeVault Broadcast Scholarship. And Bob and I have been giddy for about a week, wondering, you think George knows? And we found out Saturday he didn't have a clue. He was caught totally off guard when his grandson basically presented him with that plaque telling him what was going to go on. I'm beyond pumped, really excited about the way it all turned out. Let's go to Murfreesboro and say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, I know you'll want to see all the photos. Go to Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame website. There are like 300 pictures up there.
George, did they introduce you and then after that tell you to beat it?
You know, last night I was telling a friend of mine about the 70s has called and they want their shirt back. That is one of the all-time great lines. So
thank you.
Lewis Maddox attended the event on a free ticket.
Okay.
There's no need to say that, George. Just say he attended.
Well,
there's no need to say that.
Okay. Do you have any evidence that what Kelly said was true, that they introduced me and said, there's the door, don't let it hit you in the butt?
No, nobody had the opportunity to because you introduced yourself.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. There was a taped intro.
That's shocking.
Yeah,
That's shocking.
A tape.
Yeah, whatever.
George, you're so phony. You're just
we talked
a phony
after
guy.
the ceremony, and we were, you said like 150. I was like, there were way more people there than 150.
It's
and
hard
way
to
more than
tell
last year.
when you're looking. Oh, it was double. We
Yeah.
now know it was double what we had a year ago. Bob Kessling, man, you talk about a guy that's worked his butt off as the president. My buddy Chip Walters, who will join us today at 4:20, I have roped him to a bunch of different stuff, and Chip has been another huge hero in this thing. I'm just fired up about it. The truth of it is, a couple of years ago, this thing looked like it was going under, a little bit like the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame that we patterned this after. And I'm telling you, in a year and a half, we've cleaned it up and we got some good things going on. Can't wait to award whoever wins the scholarship the first year.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Stuff, George.
Do what?
Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love seeing Bobby Raider get in.
Okay, so what's your relationship with Bobby?
Oh, man. So Bob Kessling's last year as the voice of the Vols in 2024 was my first year with the Vol Network, and Bobby and John Wilkerson were the studio hosts for Tennessee football, and I had the chance to work alongside those guys and sit in on all those broadcasts, and even hosted one of the pre and post game shows with Bobby Raider towards the end of the season while John Wilkerson was calling basketball for Tennessee and the Bahamas, which was really cool. So it's great to see Bobby. Hadn't seen him since then, so it was really cool to see him get inducted.
Kelly, for the record, I did not wear the blue suit that you think is the only one that I have. And so there's living proof.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, nice.
That's
I bet
good
you
production.
had that same tie on, though. You had
No,
that same tie on, didn't you?
not the same time.
I wish I could.
It looks like it, George.
No.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But the graphic that Connor has made, our new graphic for the bets, the record, he's wearing the same tie in it.
No, that's not true.
I think it's the same tie.
Okay, go ahead and
George,
show
I've
it.
got some. Do you need some?
Okay, that's a blue. That's a blue and yellow. Okay,
that's the tie.
This
That's
is a yellow and black. Okay.
Okay, it's a little different. But
both of you can kiss my butt.
All right, quit putting your phone
George,
in the
I've
camera.
got
It's
some if
making
you
you
need
blurry.
to borrow them. Do you need to borrow some? I've got
Kelly,
some.
I've got more ties than you do.
Well, if you've got more ties, then hey, go out on that ledge and wear a new one sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? You're in radio. Attend the damn thing next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I might even pay for your ticket, although I doubt it.
I know you'll tell everybody too. Just give it to
Absolutely.
you. Hey, just give it to me and just go on about your business. You ain't got to tell everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's more fun my way. Do you have an update with any substance whatsoever?
Yeah, I do.
Well, then I suggest that you enlighten us.
Okay, well, I'm going to start here a little positive because
Kelly's been so damn negative.
Well, and unfortunately, this update today is littered with negative stuff. We'll start here. Ronald Acuna will be activated prior to Monday's game versus the Mets. So they thought
God.
We talked about it on Friday that he might get activated Friday, but obviously that wasn't the case. But they've said he is going to get activated on Monday.
Kelly, the Braves have a 5.5 game lead over the Phillies. And I'm telling you, a little of it's fool's gold. Their bullpen feels to me like it's falling apart from massive overuse. Some guys that were lights out for the first 2.5 months of the season, their arms are dead.
How much do you think that your ace player who's been on injured reserve a little bit, how much do you think getting him back gives a boost to the team?
I think it's huge, but I think what they really need is for him to be the Ronald Acuna that can take a game over.
Yeah, okay.
That's what they really need. Now, there's an obvious boost. The top of the order, he bats leadoff, which I haven't always agreed with, but he bats leadoff, which means most nights he's going to get 5 at bats. And nothing against Brewer, Hicklin, or Eli White, or former Vanderbilt outfielder Mike Yastrzemski, but give me Ronald Acuna for 5 at bats.
Fair.
Did you just do lip balm in the middle of the show?
Okay, you're putting your phone in the camera, so
but
maybe we all have flaws.
That had a reason.
He's chapped, man. He's chapped.
Yes, he is.
I can't have anything in this house.
We're chapped for different reasons.
Okay, Mia Bieniemy, who is the wife of Kansas City's offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, was shot multiple times last night in the family's home in Virginia. She's in stable condition. The injuries are serious. But the even worse part about this is that Elijah Bieniemy has been arrested in the matter, who is their son. He's been charged with malicious wounding. So when it first came out, it sounded like it was just one shot. So my mind went to, okay, maybe there was a terrible, tragic accident that happened within their house. But now it's saying there's multiple gunshot wounds. But she's in stable condition.
Pitiful.
Yeah, that's awful. I was with Eric, EB as we called him, Eric in Minnesota, and I liked him, man. He's a fiery guy, and there was not a day that he and Adrian Peterson did not go at it. But that's just kind of a sad story, man. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
He's stepped away from the team for the time being, which obviously is the right decision. But just terrible news. So hopefully she can heal up, and I'm sure more things are going to come out on that story as time goes on. Kyle Shanahan, and this is coming out, more details. He was injured in a car crash on July 14th. He broke his nose, his hand, 3 ribs, had 40 stitches put into his face, and suffered a severe concussion. He's still suffering from some of those concussion symptoms, but they say he's progressing well and has been in the building a little bit. Assistant head coach Chris Forrester will assume some of Kyle's roles until he is able to fully return.
On that first story, the Bieniemy story, man, thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely.
To that family. Wow.
Yeah. Big time. Glad
I don't
she's
know
all right.
what else you say.
I don't either. Hope Kyle Shanahan can get right too.
Absolutely.
Tony Romo was arrested on suspicion of operating while intoxicated. He failed field sobriety test after being pulled over in his home state of Wisconsin. He was booked and then released. He has a court date set for September 21st, which is a Monday, following the Week 2 NFL Sunday slate. So, I don't know. I mean, what does CBS do there?
Yeah, I've been asked that a couple of times. My gut feeling is if they were going to do it, it would have already been done.
They've released no statement. CBS has no statement yet.
Yeah.
He was having a good time in Wisconsin.
Apparently. Former NFL guard Jordan Devey has passed away. He passed away on Tuesday. 38 years old. His family released that it was due to a suicide. He appeared in 44 games over the span of his career, 21 starts, for 5 teams over the course of 7 seasons. He played in 7 regular season games for the Patriots when they won the Super Bowl in 2014. He retired in 2021 after playing one game for the Bills in 2020. I hate to.
Yeah,
man,
not
it's terrible. The University of Alabama NIL coordinator was arrested in a human trafficking sting operation. Robert Aaron Suttles was arrested Thursday in Shelby County, Alabama, along with 15 other men in a sting operated by the Shelby County DEA. Suttles is a former reporter for the Tuscaloosa News, as well as a reporter for The Athletic. Court records show that he paid approximately $100 for sexual activity. He was released from jail after posting a bond of $1,000, and he's no longer listed on Alabama's NIL website, and it has been stated that he's been suspended.
Dear gracious, man. Yeah, you were full of a bunch of it today, Lewis. Wow.
I'm not done.
Wow.
I feel like I want to go sit in a dark room like Aaron Rodgers, man.
There's a psychiatrist nearby.
Yeah. Last piece of not totally positive news. The University of North Carolina's football general manager Michael Lombardi was placed on paid leave today. One of the top aides to Bill Belichick. The leave is effective immediately. Details were not disclosed, but apparently this stemmed from a human resources complaint filed by a former UNC front office employee, and an investigation is pending.
Jay, wow.
What do you say?
What do you say?
Yeah, not a whole lot to say.
I think it's fair to say that the Belichick era at North Carolina, it's been a little rocky.
Do you think he can turn this thing around? Do you think he can turn it around?
Well, what would you define as turnaround? Get them to a bowl this year?
I would think so. I mean, I think that's who everybody says that the SEC and everybody wants, the Big Ten wants. But like, can he turn that program around? I don't know. There were so many high expectations. The season opener last year, they had all these celebrities there. Everybody was there. It just did not turn out well.
Oh no, it did not.
I mean, it's just I don't know. Can he do that? Can his methods work in college football?
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yes. We're on to the next question.
So is that basically the extent of today's happy news?
Yeah, we've got some actual sports news kind of for the rest of it. There's 3 more things.
Okay.
But I wanted to bring this up because Kelly wasn't here on Friday, obviously, never is. LeBron officially signed his 2-year, $8 million contract with the Sixers. Kelly, what were your thoughts on that becoming reality?
I don't know. That just kind of came out of left field, did it not, guys? I mean, sentimental reasons. Of course, I'm not into that, all that, but like, you think he goes back to Cleveland to finish this thing out, and he goes to Philadelphia? I don't know. I just seem like Cleveland would be. Cleveland seems like they're closer to me. I don't know. I know the 76ers are in it, but like the Cleveland seems like it's closer. Plus, it's where he's from. He's from that area. I just think it would be a good story. I don't know. I just was kind of flabbergasted.
I will try in the next couple of days to read up on what's been going on in Cleveland, what they're saying, because LeBron and Dan Gilbert, they weren't boys.
Right.
That's the owner of the Cavs. And I wonder if that was a big factor here, because you could make a claim that Cleveland has some pretty darn good pieces.
Absolutely.
And if you put LeBron in there, yeah, I wish it would have happened. Having been in Cleveland, man, their downtown could use LeBron.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, Philly's title odds from before the Jaylen Brown trade were at plus 7,000. Now they're at plus 1,000. They sit as the 4th best title odds in the NBA this season. They were at 19th before they traded for Jaylen Brown. Healthy, they look like the best roster in the NBA now, but that's healthy.
Give us 2 stories really quick.
Okay, so the Red Sox traded left-handed pitcher Connolly Early to the Nationals for infielder Curtis Mead. Jerry Jeudy on Instagram Live was asked who he wants to be the starting quarterback by a fan in the chat and the live stream. He held up 4 fingers on camera, which is obviously Deshaun Watson's number. He says the video was taken out of context. And last piece of the update, because I've got to ask Kelly about this, and I'm going to throw a picture up. I hate these things. Buffalo Bills unveiled their new Nickel City uniforms. Kelly, are you a fan? Because I'm not.
How could you be? It looks like vomit.
Absolutely not. That's awful.
Yeah,
Good
awful.
God. What? How do people get in a room and look at that? Here's Buffalo with a really simple, iconic looking uniform.
A great look.
And that?
Yeah, I'm not into that, but they'll sell that, I promise you.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
They look exactly like the Detroit Lions' new alternate darker gray uniforms.
Whatever.
Which
We
I think
done?
those look good. I'm done.
Okay. Headed to Austin, Texas in a couple of moments. Mike Craven from Horns 24/7 will join us. Stay tuned. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
If you are struggling with back pain, neck pain, or stubborn nerve pain that hasn't responded to the usual medications or injections, listen closely. At the Dr. Gill Center, we help patients discover why they hurt and how to find relief without surgery. We are Middle Tennessee's leaders in back pain treatment and non-surgical spinal decompression, a gentle advanced technology designed to reduce pressure on the spine, restore space between discs, and help the body heal naturally. Our patients aren't just looking for another temporary fix. They want expertise. They want options they haven't been offered. They want a team that actually listens. And that's exactly what you'll find at the Dr. Gill Center. If you've been told there's nothing else to try or surgery is next, it's time for a different approach. Call 615-882-4838 or visit callmepainfree.com to schedule a comprehensive evaluation and see if non-surgical spinal decompression is right for you. Make 2026 the year you get out of pain. Call 615-882-4838 today.
Learning is tough enough, but big tech engineered distractions that make it even harder for kids to focus.
Marsha Blackburn, she took on big tech to protect kids from dangerous content. Now, she's fighting to take back our classrooms.
My plan? Bell to bell. No sale. No excuses, no exceptions.
Marsha Blackburn.
No more posting, no scrolling. Here in Tennessee schools, we're going to learn.
Glenn Jacobs.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
We are headed down to beautiful Austin, Texas, where the University of Texas is located. Mike Craven is senior writer at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and he joins us by phone. Mike, thank you for doing this.
Of course. Appreciate you having me on.
So down there, is it almost national title or bust? Is that kind of the way people are feeling?
Well, I think with the 12-team playoff, it's hard to go that far where it's national title or bust, but I think it's SEC title or bust. You know, they need to beat Georgia. They need to get over that hump if they're able to meet the Bulldogs in the SEC championship. And it's definitely make a deep run into the playoff or bust, you know, get to the national championship game, and, you know, who knows what happens from there. But the expectations are as high, or if not higher than they have been in the Steve Sarkisian era for sure.
Mike, it's like the season starts on September the 12th when Ohio State comes to town. We know, the national shows will be there. When was the last time for you there will have been this level of buildup?
In Austin for a Texas game, probably Alabama in 2022, I think. All my years start running together at this point. But when Nick Saban came into Austin, Texas had announced that they were moving to the SEC. Texas had not been good the previous 5 to 10 years there, and Sarkisian had struggled early on. And so, they lost that game by a point, but that was when I first saw kind of what the SEC atmosphere could be like at UT. And it's one of the main reasons that Texas left the Big 12 is, it was getting harder and harder to sell their big ticket donors on the schedule that they were playing. I would say that Alabama game, I think it was like 22-21, something like that. Bryce Young, that was the last kind of big game. And then, obviously Georgia, when Arch Manning kind of got in at halftime a couple years ago. Those are the two that stand out the most to me in Austin.
Let's talk a little bit about Arch Manning. On our show, one of my co-hosts is Kelly Holcomb, who was once a teammate of Peyton Manning's in Indianapolis. You'll hear from Kelly here in just a minute. It looked to me like here he was in the first third of the season catching all this crap from everybody. Oh, he's a Heisman Trophy fraud and all this kind of stuff. And it looked to me like he just said, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to work my fanny off. Kind of tell us what you saw in his development.
Yeah, I've said it throughout the offseason. I think Arch Manning during the 2025 season went from overrated to underrated. He was overrated going into the year. He absolutely looked it, up into the midway point. And then the last 5 games of the year, the last 4 games of the regular season, that bowl win over Michigan, you start to see kind of the glimpses and that NFL upside and why people are so in love with him. But what always stood out to me about Arch is he's got kind of a self-deprecating sense of humor. When you go to the media, openings midweek during the season, Arch would crack jokes, and not only about his team, but like himself and kind of where he was struggling and how much better he needs to be, and him kind of holding the team back. So, it didn't feel like he shied away from it. It didn't feel like he was overwhelmed by it. And, we probably shouldn't be surprised that the guy with like 3 family members in the Hall of Fame knows how to deal with the ups and downs that come with kind of your football career and your first year being a true starter.
Was there a moment or a game about midway through the season where you kind of said to yourself, man, it's starting to click. It feels like it's slowing down for him?
I think for Texas, it was that Oklahoma game was kind of the big one that turned the tide on the season. If they lose that one, they're 3-3 by the midway point and the season's over. I would probably the comeback against Mississippi State. They had won 16-13 the week before against Kentucky. They just hadn't looked all that good. They haven't looked impressive even in their wins. And it felt like in that comeback against Mississippi State, Arch Manning just said, kind of screw it and just kind of let it rip. Sark talked about that a little bit this offseason when I stopped by there for the magazine visit. And so, if I kind of look back in the Rolodex, I would say that comeback win in overtime over Mississippi State was, I think, the thing that kind of freed him up. And he played a lot better football kind of down the stretch, minus that Georgia loss that nobody at Texas played well that day.
Mike, I got to ask you this before I turn it to Kelly. So we had a graphic up while you're talking, and Lewis, go ahead and put it back up there, of key games in the season. And obviously at the end is the at Texas A&M on November 27th. I know how the Texas A&M people feel. They hate Texas. What's kind of the reverse? What's the Texas feel about A&M?
Well, if you ask the Texas fan, it's kind of a little brother relationship, right? Where you're out in the driveway, they think this is the time that they're finally kind of big enough. They've hit puberty. They think they're going to beat you, and then, they don't. And so it's probably good for Texas that they avoided A&M during the kind of 10, 15 years of that downslide after Mac Brown. I think, Texas A&M was probably the better program in the 2010s and, even in the early 2020s. But yeah, I think if you asked a Texas fan kind of what their feeling is of Texas A&M, it'd probably be a big brother, little brother. I'm not saying that's true or not, but I think that would be the consensus from the Texas fan base.
Kelly, say hello to Mike Craven.
Mike, how you doing, brother?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. So let me ask you this. Arch is, he's an athletic young man. He can run around. It doesn't remind me of Peyton. I played with Peyton. Peyton was not a runner, but he reminds me of his grandfather, which is Archie, running around quite a bit. But we've seen young men nowadays, and that's the way of the game. But it seems like they've got a young man in this Casey Lacey kid that's behind him that Sarkisian likes. I mean, is he able to accomplish some of the things that they want if something happens to Arch?
I think the expectations lower dramatically if Arch Manning isn't the starting quarterback in crunch time. And, that's probably true for, if we kind of listed the 10 teams we think can win the national championship, if they're down to their backup quarterback, we probably take them off the list. The hope for the Longhorns is that the talent around the quarterback position can withstand if he misses a game or two. If he misses a real stretch of games, I think Texas is now in the, hope to make the CFP or situation there. But they think KC can be a good game manager right now. He's a really smart, intelligent football player, knows how to get the ball out of his hands. And with the supporting cast that Texas now has, I do think that they would think that they could win a game or two with him being the quarterback. But Arch needs to be the guy. He needs to be healthy, especially in November and into December if Texas has a real chance of hitting their ceiling.
Okay, some of the games I watched last year, obviously being in the profession, but they struggled running the football last year, and that's the worst thing for a quarterback. Like, you would like to be balanced on offense. It seems like a lot of things were thrown on Arch's plate, and he had to do a lot of things himself. But have they kind of patched up a little bit of the running game? I know there's all kind of transfers coming in, but it seems like that they've got to get more balanced on offense.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. If you are talking about the concerns for the Texas Longhorns entering 2026, it's can they run the ball? Is that offensive line improved? How can they be in the red zone and on short yardage situations? Now, everything that they did after the season was kind of done to fix those issues. You go get Melvin Ciani at right tackle, Lawrence Seymour's, the expected starter at left guard. You move Brandon Baker inside the guard. Like, they think their starting five is going to be better up front along the offensive line. Depth always a concern. It feels like now in the revenue share era, it's just hard to stack the offensive linemen, but they feel like their offensive line is better. But where they've really improved is in the running back room. They bring in Hollywood Smothers from North Carolina State. They bring in Raleek Brown. And so those guys are going to be big-time football players. They think that they're improved at the running back. Now you got Cam Coleman on one side that's going to have to keep a safety deep, so you're going to be against lighter boxes. You add in Arch Manning's legs, as you had mentioned. So that's the hope, that they have improved in those situations. But if you're asking me kind of what determines if Texas kind of reaches these expectations or not, it's going to be exactly what you just mentioned. Can they run the ball consistently and take some pressure off of Arch Manning so it's not just him boom or bust?
And there's so much pressure now, and it's even gotten worse. And we know when you coach in the Southeastern Conference, there's going to be pressure. But they went 9-3 last year. They missed the playoffs. Can he go 9-3 again? You talked about them, it's SEC win or bust. It seems like that they've got a really good football team and some of the additions that they've added. But what if he goes 9-3? How big, and I was going to ask you too about these 9 games. Like we talk about it on the show all the time where we used to talk about when you got 3 SEC games in a row. Well, now they got 9 games in a row in the SEC, and that's just so tough. But can Sark go 9-3 and be successful?
No. His seat would be. I don't think Sark would get fired if he went 9-3, especially if injuries and kind of the context of how he goes 9-3. But it won't be fun. It won't be comfortable. We kind of joke down here, and I'm sure it's at a lot of the big time programs. Like you look at a before and after picture of Texas coaches, it's like the president of the United States in terms of how they age, right? Like it's a job. And if you are with the resource, you go and get Cam Coleman. You have Arch Manning for what we all believe will be his last year. You got Colin Simmons as an edge rusher. You got a franchise left tackle in Trevor Gooseby. You go and you fire your pretty solid defensive coordinator to hire Will Muschamp. Like all the chips are in the table. And so if he goes 8-4, 9-3, they miss the CFP and they're left out. I don't think Sark is gone, but you enter 2027 and you start looking at the program and you go like, well, that was probably your best chance, or at least on paper, that's your best chance. And so it feels like a huge year for Sark. If you ask people around here, covering the team and just fans, like they kind of think that this could be it for Sark. Like if it doesn't work well, maybe he goes to the NFL or goes and does something else. And so it does feel like kind of an all-in situation in Austin, and kind of getting over the hump and beating the Georgias and making a run in the CFP is. It's got to be done because, you got to remember right now, the only team he's beating the college football playoff is, Clemson and Arizona State, right? Like they need to go beat those big teams, when they're on those big stages.
Hey, Mike, this is Lewis. I just wanted to kind of stay on that for just a second. I mean, they both talked about, Natty or bust or SEC championship or bust. I mean, after last season and missing out on it, I know you had a first-year in-command quarterback, but was there any type of higher temperature than normal, talks about his job after last season?
I don't know if it was talks about his job, more so of how he does his job, right? Like, there hasn't been a play-calling head coach win a national title since Jimbo Fisher in 2014. I think there's only been 4 since, 1990. And Sark is very married to calling his own plays and being that own guy. And one of the reasons that he said he got rid of Pete Kwiatkowski and went and got Will Muschamp is because Will Muschamp has been a head coach before, and he could kind of just leave the defense to Muschamp and go focus on his play calling and being kind of the offensive head coach and the overall program leader. And, when they were struggling last year, even in wins, like against Kentucky, when they struggled offensively, there was questions about that. And I don't think Sark enjoyed it all that much. And so, they have pushed the chips all in. They have given them everything that they want at the wide receiver, running back position. They got Arch Manning. The defense should be loaded. He's got a new defensive coordinator. Again, I don't think if Texas goes 8-4, I just don't think that they fire Sark, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if there was a separation or something if he went on his way. And I think that there would be a lot of fans and a lot of national narratives out there of kind of like Ryan Day going into 2024 at Ohio State. I think that's how it would feel, where you would look and you'd go, well, this is insane to fire this guy because of how good he's been. But then you talk to the fan base and they wouldn't be happy. I think it would be very close to that situation with Ryan Day in 2024.
Yeah, and back to Arch for just a second. I mean, 3,163 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. To me, I was a fan of the guy the whole season last year. That's not some slap job of a stat line for a first-year quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. Where do you think that hate came from that he got towards the first half of the season? Where do you think it started to turn around for him a little bit?
I think as a society, we just like to break down people that we think were given something, right? And, he has this last name and he was, a perfectly rated prospect by 24/7. There's only been a couple of those. And so, I think there was some real doubts of did he get all of this because his last name is Manning? And then when he comes out and he doesn't play all that well against Ohio State, and then they kind of, just kind of stub their feet against Florida and don't play that well the first 6-7 games of the season, I think it's very easy to kind of get on social media and try to tear the young man down. I think to his credit, it doesn't seem to work. It sounds like the team really rallied around him. And so I think we learned a lot about Arch Manning from like a mental and toughness standpoint last year. Like the next thing we need to figure out is just like, what is his ceiling? Like he was very good last year. Can he be great? If he is great, Texas is going to play deep into the CFB.
And every time, and this is the last thing for me, Mike, but every time you talk about Texas these days, it's about Arch Manning or it's about the offense. But I mean, there were some real key defensive pieces that were lost to the draft last year. First of all, Anthony Hill Jr., who we appreciate in Nashville for him coming to the Titans, but the secondary too. I mean, two more NFL guys that are out of that room, Malik Muhammad and Michael Taft. Can you talk about some of that side of the ball when it comes to Texas? I mean, like additions or just what's going on?
Yeah, they really like their front seven. Colin Simmons could be a top 10 pick in the NFL. I think he's the best edge rusher in college football. Maybe the South Carolina kid has an argument to be made there, but he's going to be a 3-and-done player. He's electric off the edge. They like Lance Jackson on the other side. His brother played at Arkansas, big time recruit. They bring in Rasheem Biles from Pitt, who I think had like 17.5 tackles for loss last year, to kind of be the Anthony Hill playmaker there at linebacker. They feel deep at defensive tackle. But the secondary is the question mark. As you mentioned, you lose Malik Muhammad, Michael Taft, a lot of experience back there, some of your leadership. Jelani McDonald, Derek Williams is healthy. That's kind of an addition that doesn't come from the transfer portal, a former 5-star guy out of Louisiana, expected to slide back in there at safety after dealing with some linebacker or some injury stuff. But I think the biggest addition probably is Bo Masco. He's a cornerback from Rutgers, supposed to be the expected starter where Malik Muhammad was. So, they got Blake Gideon back. He was a defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. He's now back with Will Muschamp. And so, I don't know if the talent is as good, or at least as proven as it was last year. But if you ask Sark and those guys, they think the coaching advantage and just the scheme and the aggressiveness will fit these guys better, and they're hoping they take a jump that way.
Mike, you were really good to take the time and come on with us. Please save me a ticket on September 12th, preferably 50-yard line. I can go 40 to 40, and I'll get back in touch when you have that done.
Yeah, so we used to have 50-yard line press box seats up there at DKR. This will be the first year that they're moving them into the end zone so they can make some more money on those suites. So we'll have a little different vantage point. We'll be in the end zone. It'll be a crowded press box, but I'm sure they could squeeze you in.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I'm not surprised about the end zone part of it. Thank you for sharing today.
Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.
Mike Craven is senior writer at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're going to go to the break, and then when we come back, a couple 100,000 thoughts on A&M and Texas and how college football cannot afford to lose those kind of rivalries. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Baseball is just like music. You don't believe me? Let me show you. It's jazz, improvised and unpredictable. It's rock. The crowd explodes like a guitar through a wall of amps. It's rap, fast, sharp, all rhythm and timing. It's country, nothing but 3 outs and the truth. Do you believe me now? Look, no matter what music you're into, the hottest track in town, Nashville Sounds Baseball. Welcome to Hit City.
Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall.
Get ready, Clarksville. The Arena Football One postseason is officially coming home to F&M Bank Arena. Your Cats have secured the top seed and are locked in to hunt down the championship. High-stakes, fast-paced Arena Football playoff action. The number one seed Cats are taking on the competition, and they need you to throw your claws up and pack the stands. Don't miss the AF1 playoff game on Sunday, August 2nd at 3 p.m. Tickets are selling fast. Go to Ticketmaster.com or myfmbankarena.com to secure your seats today. Let's bring the crown to Clarksville.
You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of three who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So this is just one person's opinion, and it's mine. Look, there's nothing about expanding conferences to all these mega teams that I really like. Some of you may disagree, some of you may agree. But one of the things that has gone on that to me is very disturbing is the elimination of some college football rivalry games. Luckily, we haven't gotten to the point where Alabama-Auburn is up for grabs or Ohio State-Michigan. But as you know, A&M and Texas, they didn't play for a good while. Now, I happen to think that Texas loved it that way because Texas, as Mike Craven said, views A&M as sort of a bastard stepchild. They always have. They've given A&M the, you're a cow college, you're beneath us, we don't need to play you, where the A&M people want nothing more than to beat Texas and basically beat the stew out of them. I would contend, Kelly, that that's one of college football's biggest problems right now, is seeing to it that the best games, the rivalry with all the passion, and in a lot of cases, a lot of hatred, that those don't go away.
I certainly hope that doesn't happen, George, but just like you said, the Texas A&M Texas thing, it took a long time to get back going, but I really believe Texas A&M, once they got in the SEC and they found out Texas was coming back, they didn't want Texas in the SEC.
No, they didn't.
They did not. But, like the Oregon State, whether that was a good game or a good game anymore, it just seems like rivalries like that, it doesn't matter if the other 10 is 2-10 or whatever they are. Those are always good games because there's so much hatred, and I hope that doesn't go away, but there's a lot of things that I think we hope doesn't go away, and it seems like it's kind of going away. So I certainly hope the Auburn-Alabama or the Alabama-Tennessee thing, which I don't see it happening, but who knows in this new age of college football or what's down the road for college football, George. It's up for grabs. It seems like we talk it every day, but there's just so many question marks that we have about the game right now, and I don't think anybody has the answers.
No, the blue blood rivalries, in my opinion, are never going to get canned. Alabama, Tennessee is always going to be there.
Yeah, but we've
Iron
seen
Bowls,
it some
right.
of them have gotten canned.
And I was about to say, Tennessee doesn't play Georgia this year. There's one right there. That's a rivalry, not as high profile as the rest of them. The high profile ones will always be there, in my opinion, because there will be national outrage if something that you can't touch stuff like that. You can't touch Ohio State, Michigan. You can't touch the Iron Bowl. You just can't. But other things with these conference realignments and schedule realignments, yeah, we're going to start losing some stuff. Like the one that comes to mind is the world's greatest cocktail party. I think that's one of their three, their all-time opponents every year within the SEC. But that one's not as crazy as the rest of them. So who's to say that something like that doesn't get taken away in the next 10 years?
Who would have ever thought that the Pac-12 would be abolished, gone? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody ever thought. Like I would have never. Like you could have told me that 20 years ago, and I'm like, absolutely crazy. But I'm with you. I don't think it'll happen. But who knows? We really don't know in this new age.
And with the Texas A&M Texas thing, let me give a little bit of a different perspective because I think it's different for my generation because I'm 22. So getting into college football was like 2011, 2012 when I'm like 8 years old. And from that time up until Sarkisian got to Texas, I think that A&M's been the better program. So I think that this generation has a little bit different opinion about that rivalry than maybe most people think.
I'll give you one that's gone away. Notre Dame, USC. What a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been happening for how long, George?
Oh, my God. Since before I was born.
100 years.
I mean,
yeah.
That's one of those that you can point to saying you never would have thought that would have happened either, but it did.
As Brent Zwerneman from the Houston Chronicle loves to kind of tell this story because he broke the story that Oklahoma and Texas were coming into the SEC, and he did it one year, whatever year it was, at SEC Football Media Days. Ross Bjork at the time was the athletic director at A&M. He didn't know that it was that close to happening, and his first reaction for public consumption was, over my dead body, that Texas is coming in this conference. Well, I guess the founding fathers of the conference had a little discussion with Ross, who sort of toned it down. But then, Kelly, he took off, and he's now the athletic director at Ohio State, who's about to play Texas, for the second round of a home and home.
How big of a game? I know you asked that, George, but how big of a game do you guys think that Ohio State-Texas game is at Texas?
Well, if you think back to a year ago, when really Texas brought nothing to the table offensively, and it was kind of a nothing game that Ohio State won 14-7. Did it really have that much national impact on what went on the rest of the year?
Didn't seem that way. No, did not.
No,
to
not
me.
really.
I also think the fact that it was at 11 in the morning,
Yeah, I didn't like
near
that.
the end of August, it's 104 degrees at kickoff. I think this being a night game at Texas, I think it'll get a lot more juice.
That's kind of what I was thinking, George. I'm like, last year, it was Arch's first time starting. It was, I don't know. I just think there's so many expectations around Steve Sarkisian and his program this year that I think it's way bigger than it was last year.
Yeah, it's completely different because, the reason for it is because they've got a completely different view of themselves, and so does everybody else. I mean, that was Arch Manning's first big test, so you're not really expecting much out of them, and they definitely underperformed to what even people thought they would do. But, yeah, I don't even think that the nighttime kickoff has anything to do with it. These are two.
Oh, I do. I think it gives them chance to have a Jack and Coke.
Well, yeah.
Or six.
Sure, it helps the crowd and the atmosphere part of it. But, these are two national championship contending teams in the preseason. So, I mean, it's going to tell us a lot early.
Okay.
Payroll versus payroll.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Kelly, if I said to you, what is the ugliest college football rivalry in America? There's one out there that I'm thinking of that nobody's going to go with, because it's easy to say, well, Auburn and Alabama, they've destroyed trees. But what would be one? There's one I've got in mind, underrated, and they hate each other.
You're probably thinking like Harvard. Are you thinking Harvard and Yale,
No.
George?
No, that's sort of the Library Bowl. Our SAT is bigger than yours.
I mean, Ohio State and Michigan people they hate each other. You're not going there. I don't know. Clemson, South Carolina.
BYU and Utah.
Oh, BYU, Utah.
Oh my
the Holy
God.
War.
In the name of religion, there have been more cheap shots in that rivalry. It's amazing.
The Holy War.
Holy this.
I'm going 100 miles of hate. No, I'm just kidding. MTSU, WKU. That's a good one.
MTSU, yeah, Western Kentucky.
But nothing, I mean, and as much as I hate to say it, because obviously I'm an SEC guy, nothing beats Ohio State, Michigan. The hatred between those two fan bases and those two teams. I mean, there's a fight every year pregame, or them coming out of the tunnel, or flags being planted in midfield after the game's over. Like, there's a fight in that game, it seems like, every year. I mean, how can you not say that?
I've played with guys from both universities, and they truly have some animosity. They don't like each other.
The Auburn-Alabama one is a great rivalry when the game's played at Auburn. We've had crazy things happen. But in recent years, Auburn has not been able to return the favor when they go to Tuscaloosa.
Right. Have not.
Yeah, they really never have in my lifetime.
Here's one I've never been to. It's kind of a bucket lister, but I'm more interested in going to Braves playoff games at that point. Kelly, OU and Texas from the state fair, the Cotton Bowl. The Cotton Bowl is now a very old stadium that they divide right at midfield, half and half. Pretty cool deal.
We don't know anything about this one either, but the Pitt, West Virginia game is pretty nasty too.
Yeah.
Muskets.
They don't like each other. Yeah, they don't like each other.
And country roads.
That's right. Oh, gosh. Please
Are
not
you
with
having
the country
flashbacks?
roads. Yes. Lord have mercy.
Anyway, I
think Texas-Oklahoma is the best atmosphere for a rivalry game that there is. At the Cotton Bowl?
I don't know. I mean,
George, do you remember when Nebraska and Oklahoma was a big deal?
And
it's
yes.
like Lewis has no clue about that.
Yeah.
But like when Barry Switzer and Tom Osborne went at it when they were back in their heyday, man, that was nasty.
People will come up with some stuff. We'll probably hear a few of them when we go phones later. To start the 4 o'clock hour, Chris Doering will be front and center stage. We're going to have Kelly lead the whole thing off. Then Chip Walters, MTSU play-by-play voice, will join us. Then we'll open up the phones on the backside of the 4 o'clock hour. Thanks for being with us on the George Plaster Show.
The director is back. Hello again, everybody. It's the George Plaster Show. Hope you'll join me, Kelly Holcomb, and Billy Derrick Monday through Friday on 94.9 The Fan from 3 to 5 p.m. Talk sports with the Plaz. The George Plaster Show. Weekday afternoons at 3 on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville Sports Network. Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
You know, for parents, there's nothing more important than your child's happiness and well-being. That's why I want to share something important with you. Unity Cares now offers counseling for children and adolescents. If your child is struggling at school, seems withdrawn, or you're concerned about anxiety or an eating disorder, getting help from a mental health professional can make all the difference for your child and for your family. Unity Cares has experienced counselors who specialize in helping kids feel better, grow stronger, and thrive. And they offer in-person counseling. It's available in Columbia and Clarksville and anywhere in Middle Tennessee. Your child can be seen through telehealth. It's easy, it's effective, and it's private. Visit unitycares.com/Big Joe to schedule an appointment or call 888-508-8002. One call can change it all.
Busy Bee HVAC is helping local students start the school year strong. Starting today through the beginning of August, bring in back-to-school supplies and receive a $50 off coupon toward any Busy Bee HVAC service. Drop items at the Busy Bee shop anytime or join them for the final collection weekend, August 1st and 2nd from 10 a.m. to noon at the Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce. Look for the Bee Buggy and community truck and help fill it for local kids.
Call 775-7833.
A DePauw University education goes beyond the classroom. Here you'll explore ideas, challenge yourself, and connect what you learn to the world. Ready to think boldly and lead with purpose? Learn more at depaw.edu.
With no credit check and payments as low as $20 a week, why wait to upgrade your home? At Electronic Express, get everything you need, from premium appliances and TVs to gaming systems and more. Whether it's building your dream home theater or updating your kitchen, we make it affordable and easy. With over 40 years in business, trust us for the best selection, service, and guaranteed low prices. Shop online or at any of our 22 locations across Tennessee and Alabama. Electronic Express, we've got that.
Looking for a true taste of Nashville? Visit Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, voted top 3 craft distillery tour in the country for 2025. Located just 1 mile off Broadway, it's an easy stop for locals and tourists alike. Walk the distillery floor, learn the history behind the original Tennessee whiskey, and see how it's made today. While you're here, don't forget to enjoy a flight and a meal at our on-site restaurant, Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery, where Nashville's spirit comes to life. GreenbrierDistillery.com for reservations.
I'm Emmitt Smith. Be ready to rescue someone in an opioid emergency. Lay them on their back, use Narcan nasal spray as directed, and dial 911. Stay and continue to administer additional doses as needed. Visit readytorescue.com.
Future leaders begin at DePauw University. In the School of Business and Leadership, students gain the skills and confidence to make their mark and change the world. Step up, stand out, and lead with purpose. Learn more at depaw.edu.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Hour number 2 of the George Plaster Show is always kicking things off with the Apple Collision Center's stat of the day. Tell us how we feeling. I beat out everybody last week, so
yeah, whatever.
4 or 5.
Whatever.
Why don't you go play in the street? Nobody cares, Lewis. Okay.
All right, here we go. Stat of the day for Monday. Which school has produced the most number 1 overall NFL draft picks?
You know, Kelly, the first thought for me is USC. What's your first one?
That's a good one, George. I'm. There's 3 that come to mind. I don't think it's that way anymore, but I think Ohio State, Alabama's in there. I don't know about Miami, but I think Ohio. It's probably Ohio State or USC, I would think.
Show us something.
Yeah, I know 21st century has got to be Ohio State or Alabama. I'm going to go Alabama. Southern Cal.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
How'd it go, George? Hoo-hoo. Started off right this week,
Yeah.
homie.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
And who did you go
congratulations.
with?
I went with Alabama.
Yeah. Well, you're 0-1.
Okay.
And we're not. So
I'll still suck.
Kelly, when you think about some of the accomplishments that Chris Doering's had, great wide receiver at Florida, has a pro career, goes on to become a very successful television, studio analyst, color analyst, however you want to call it. I think it's proper to bring him up here and just ask where being your teammate fits in for all of that.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Absolutely.
You left off Jeopardy champion. I used to whip.
I was going to say
Kelly's ass in
Jeopardy champion.
Yeah.
He's the Jeopardy champ. Here's the people don't know this about Chris, or Christopher, as my wife and me like to call him. He is a dadgum nerd now. He's a nerd. And he's very smart. And we used to cut like every night when we were in Indianapolis and we all got together, we would watch Jeopardy. I couldn't beat him because I wasn't that guy, but Chris is nerdish. There's no question about it.
Chris,
take pride in that. I mean, having eclectic knowledge is good, right, George? I mean, that's a good thing.
Chris, let me ask you this, because I've got a text from Kelly moments ago calling me slap nuts. Have you ever been called that?
Oh, hundreds of times. It used to be slap something else, but now he's trying to clean up his language. He tried to act like a goody-goody now, but I remember, there was a time he cost a lot more.
We all got to change, Hoss. We all got to change, Christopher.
Not Peter Pan here, baby.
No, you have not. I thought at one point you would, but I found out now history shows that you haven't.
I'm all right with it.
Kelly, go ahead and start it.
How you doing, brother? How's the fam? Everybody good?
Good, man. Good. I'm tired, recovering from a long week last week in Tampa. Had media days down there in your old stomping grounds, and man, it's crazy. Just this every year you go down there, or you go wherever it is. The city's moved all over recently. You get done with it, and you get the feeling that kickoff's right around the corner, and then you got to wait a whole nother month. So they teased us a little bit with that, but it'll be here before we know it.
We were talking last week. How did you like it in Tampa, man? For some reason, Tampa just does not feel like the SEC to me. I don't know why, but it just seems like, we know Gainesville, it's not far from, down there, but it just seems like it's just different. Like we're used to Nashville or maybe somewhere else, like Birmingham. We're just not used to Tampa. Did you like it there?
Yeah, I mean, forever it used to be in Hoover every year, and then they got this idea that it could turn into a traveling road show. So we did Atlanta, we've done Nashville a couple times. I did Dallas a couple years ago, which, speaking of, doesn't necessarily feel like the SEC footprint. But one, I like the idea of moving around throughout the conference and giving everybody a chance to kind of have a home field advantage there. And two, it really has become – it's almost like taking a page out of the NFL. The NFL makes themselves relevant 12 months out of the year, whether we're talking about free agency or the draft, or we're talking about training camp or the end of the season. Like the SEC's kind of done the same thing, and there are actually cities vying to hold media days and compensating the league for it. So this is it's a good thing, and it goes to speak to the relevance of the SEC throughout this particular footprint.
I want to start with your alma mater. I've had a track record with those guys. Buster Faulkner, I know. George knows really well the Georgia Tech. He was here at Middle Tennessee, but he was at Georgia Tech as the offensive coordinator the last couple of years. And then Joe Craddock played here. He's a quarterback coach there. But John Summerall, what are your thoughts? Like John Summerall, when I got to know him and was around him, he's been a head coach for 4 years. He won 2 Sun Belt Conference championships at Troy. Then he went to Tulane. He was in the conference championship 2 years in a row. He lost one of them, but he won the other one. So 3 out of 4 years he was a conference champ. I hope the rest of the SEC understands he's got a really good strength coach, which I've always said you have to have a guy in the weight room that understands and can get those kids motivated. But John Summerall is an unbelievable hire for the Florida Gators. And what have been your interactions with him?
Yeah, it's funny, Kelly, because everybody was set on Lane Kiffin. Like, it has to be Lane Kiffin. He's the closest to Coach Spurrier. He's going to get Florida back. And on that Black Friday during the Egg Bowl, when the news came out that Scott Strickland, the athletic director of Florida, was pivoting in a different direction, there was a backlash amongst all sorts of fans. And if you think about it, it was specific to the resume of when they found out it was Summerall. Wow, that's just another one of these group of five type coaches that we got. Billy Napier, the resume came from Louisiana. It couldn't be further from the truth. And as soon as people saw him in the introductory press conference and subsequently have gotten to know him, he's done every single interview request, podcast, event. He really has done a good job of putting himself out there and pressing the flesh with the fan base. I knew he was going to destroy media days, which he absolutely did on Wednesday. But there's an authenticity about him. And you can speak to this, Kelly, having had your son play for him. He's a real dude. There's a lot of coaches that are say one thing and are actually something behind closed doors. You see exactly what you get, and I've come to really respect him. It's funny now, Kelly, because you and I are older than these coaches. He brought something up the radio the other day when we were on the radio. But yeah, Florida's an unbelievable job. I remember watching you playing in the SEC championship game in '93, and when I was in high school or even middle school or something. It's humbling how old we've gotten, but I think he's so relatable. He's such a real dude. And maybe the best illustration of that, guys, is if you look at the roster retention, there were a lot of guys that were going in the portal, but they were able to keep Jaden Baugh. They were able to keep Dallas Wilson. They were able to keep Vernell Brown. They kept Miles Graham, Jaden Woods. There's a ton of names that are back. And I honestly believe if they get the quarterback situation right, offensive line scares me a little bit, but I think they can make a humongous jump from 4 wins last year to maybe 7, 8, even 9 wins this year.
That's what I was going to ask you. Me being a quarterback, and we've got other questions about quarterbacks around the league, obviously with Tennessee and Vanderbilt. But what do you think they'll do at Florida? I know that Buster brought a guy, the Philo kid from Georgia Tech, and then you got the Jones kid as well. How did they look? Who's winning the battle? You think, or who's going to win the battle?
Well, I got to see Tramel Jones last year as a freshman when DJ Lagway was out during the preseason. I was really impressed. I didn't know about Tramel Jones much. He had injured himself, I think, his senior year in high school and had gotten, overlooked because of that and the recruiting. But has a great command of the offense that I saw him in before. I know this is a different offense now. But I'd have to give the edge, I would think, to Philo, having been in the offense at Georgia Tech, having played for these coaches, a lot of them, including Buster Faulkner. But I think Florida's in good shape there. It's just, I hate saying this, particularly with you on here, Kelly, but quarterback is the most important position in any team sport there is. And now more than ever, you look at what Indiana did, going out and getting Mendoza. Look at what Vanderbilt did and getting Pavia. Like, you can change your fortunes overnight if you have the right pieces around it. You get the right coach and the right quarterback. Indiana winning the national championship as they started the season last year as the losingest program in the history of the FBS speaks to that exactly.
So let's talk about, let's come a little bit closer to home, and at UT kind of got the same problem. There's a lot of teams in the SEC other than Gunnar Stockton and Arch Manning at Texas, obviously, and Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. But UT has kind of got the question mark at the quarterback position. They had the George McIntyre kid that they were high on. He was very inconsistent in high school here in Nashville, and it seems like he's been inconsistent. They got the Faison Brandon kid, and it seems like they may be going in that direction. What are you hearing out of UT, and what do you think about them as a team this year?
Yeah, it's funny, Kelly, because you go to media days and it's a different experience than it used to be. We'd have an opportunity to go do spring tours back in the day, or we'd, call spring games, or we get a chance to at least watch the spring games on television. Now you get none of that. So when you get to media days, you're trying to figure out who these teams are, how the coaches feel about their chances this year. I'll tell you, I left Tampa probably feeling like I learned the least about the Vols. And maybe that's because there are so many position battles that are up for grabs. I feel good about their offensive line. Deshaun Bishop's a real dude at the running back spot. I think they had the best hire of any coordinator in the offseason. Bringing Jim Knowles in was an absolute home run hire for hype. But I made a comment. I don't know if you – I know Kelly probably doesn't go on social media, but I've been getting killed by the Vols fans because I said the receivers – were underwhelming last year, and they wanted to point to the fact that they're bringing back 3 receivers that had over 800 yards receiving last season, which is great. And then I replied and said, well, imagine if they'd have caught all their balls that they were throwing to them. They had the second most drops in the SEC last year. So when your position is a wide receiver and you struggle receiving the ball, that to me is underwhelming. So I don't know what the Vols do. I think they take a little bit of a step back. I know they took a step back from their playoff year 2 years ago, but I really don't have any good feel for who they are or what they're going to be, particularly because we don't know about. I think it's the Brandon kid as well, just given the athleticism and upside. But whether you're talking about starting a freshman or a redshirt freshman, it's not ideal in the SEC either way.
And let me ask you this, because I've made this statement here, and I made it last week. These coaches now look at this stuff. It's totally different than when you and I played, but they think about, they're coaching jobs all the time. And if he starts the Faison Brandon kid, I'm not saying he's under heat right now, but he's kind of underwhelmed too. He had a great year with Hendon Hooker that 1 year where he got them to the number one seed at one point, the number one spot at one point in the season. But what do you think when coaches, if he makes that decision to go with the freshman and Faison Brandon, like, do you think that they're thinking maybe if I do that and we kind of have a subpar year, it gives me a little extra time because I can tell people, hey, I've got time. I've got to get this young man some experience. You think coaches think like that now, Chris? And another thing is he just got the number one running back recruit that, it was between Ohio State and Tennessee and the David Gabriel George's kid that was out of Baylor. Do you think coaches think that way now of, hey, if I do this or do that, that gives me a little bit more time?
I think there's probably some of that goes along with it. I mean, I think these guys are the ultimate competitors, so they want to win and don't want to make excuses. But I don't think it's ideal to throw Brandon out there as a true freshman in week one. I think, bringing him along as slowly as you can is good. And it's always nice to have that in your back pocket. But at the same time, like, I love Hype, and I think Hype gained some equity by not messing with Nico Iamaleava any longer. I mean, that really threw them off when he decided he was taken off, and Hype said he wasn't going to be held ransom by a guy that kept coming back for more money reportedly. So I think he bought himself some favor with the fans with the way that he handled that. Certainly bought himself some favor with the rest of the coaches throughout the league. But I that's the thing that all coaches pin their hopes on is, hey, look what we signed in the recruiting class last year. Look what we're how we're trending with the players that are coming in. My young guys are the biggest contributors. My thing is two things. One, if you're going to change coaches, are you going to be able to go out and get somebody else that is definitively a better coach? I don't know that you can say that. I mean, look at what was that 2 years ago? They went and beat Oklahoma in Norman, which was a big win for them, for him personally.
Right.
But also at the same time, I think if you look at Tennessee lately, I've called them bullies from time to time because they beat up on the teams that are not as good from a talent perspective. But when they play somebody that's equally as talented or better, they don't win a lot of those games. And so I want to see what their level of physicality is, particularly up front. They're going to have to run the ball this year. And with very little threat of the pass, at least heading into the season, we'll see how they do against defenses that may load the box against them, particularly if it is Faison Brandon that gets the start.
Okay, so I got one more. I know these guys want to ask questions, but I got one more. What are your thoughts on the 9 games that they're playing, like, consistently now? We've always talked on this show about, the 3-game monster. George used to always bring that up, where you play 3 SEC games in a row and you're probably going to lose one of them.
Yeah.
Now they got 9 in a row, man. Like, what are your thoughts? And I know the coaches can't like it. They're probably saying and drinking the Kool-Aid with everybody and saying the right things, but that's going to be tough in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I think the coaches feel like they were maybe a little bit misled. I think Commissioner Sankey may feel like he was a little misled because my understanding is that the Big Ten had agreed that if the SEC would expand to a 9-game conference schedule, that they'd agree to a 16-team playoff field. Now they're saying that they want a 24-team field, which honestly I think benefits the SEC more than it does the Big Ten or anybody else with as deep as the SEC is. But the coaches just want access. They want to have opportunity to get into the postseason. I think Vandy and Texas last year, if they get in, they probably may win a game or two. A couple years ago, you had Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina that probably could have gotten in and won some games at 9-3. So if you look at it with all the other sports, and I know that the college football playoff is not hosted by the NCAA, but the rest of the college playoffs, there's a much higher percentage of teams that get access. I want to say it's around 21% of the teams that are fielded get the number of playoff berths. And I think in if you look at football, it's around 10%. So now you're talking about playing 9 conference games, which is going to make it even more challenging. I think that fans, media, and particularly the College Football Playoff Committee are going to have to adjust how they look at records, because not all losses are created equal. And to your point, when you're looking at it's not about who you play, it's about where you play them and in what order you play them. Because go look at LSU and Ole Miss. They play one another, I think, in the third week of the season, and then each of those has a tremendous game the following week. I want to say Ole Miss comes to Gainesville in what could be a challenging game for them. So it really is about the cumulative effect, the physical grind, the mental grind, the fatigue factor that sets in. Look at Georgia by the end of the year, last 2 years. They've been beat up and really have been shells of themselves by the time they've gotten into the college football playoff field.
Chris, if I got your whole SEC network crew together in a room and I said, okay, level with me here. Was this Vandy thing a one-shot deal and they revert back to old Vandy, or was this the beginning of something considerably better? What do you think the answer would be?
I think the surface level answer would be, they're going to take a step back. Pavia's gone. You lose a lot of those pieces, particularly. But I honestly believe that this is the vision that Clark Lee created coming to fruition. And I remember I think it's his 6th year in the league. And I remember being with him early in his career, talking about what he thought was possible. And I think people shook their heads and laughed and said, yeah, okay, well, they did it. They went out and got Pavia, but it wasn't just Pavia. It was Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator. It was Jerry Kill that came along with him. It was Clark Lee understanding what they wanted to be. And if you go look, there's a lot of talent. This is a really deep and talented, experienced defense that's back. The blueprint for recruiting offensive line is going and getting juniors and seniors through the transfer portal that have played a lot of snaps. So there's some veterans up front, and they're physically matured in addition to being more mentally matured and experienced. But I the fact that you get Jared Curtis to flip from Georgia to Vandy, I don't know if he starts week 1. I'm hearing that may not be the case, but I think there's a lot of reason to be excited, and I believe in Clark Lee. I believe in this Vandy program. This is not the old days. This is a whole new, different college football landscape where you're in a metropolitan city like Nashville. You can find some NIL partners. You can find people that want to come be a part of the program. That didn't go to Vanderbilt. You can infuse that with some roster. Look at the stadium that they've been able to renovate. Look at the excitement around game day there. When the Oilers moved there and became the Titans, like the city embraced them. They showed up after not really having a relationship with them. The Preds come there. It's the same thing. I think you put a good product on the field that's competitive and entertaining, people are going to get behind it. So I believe that Vandy's in a great position to be able to excel right now in the landscape of the NIL and transfer portal.
If Billy Napier had picked up the phone middle of last season and said, Chris, you know the landscape, you have the pulse, why am I failing? What would you have told him?
You're being stubborn. You need to give up the play calling duties. You could tell this was not like Coach Spurrier calling offensive plays where, it was explosive pass plays and big numbers being put up. They struggled on offense, and yet he didn't want to delegate that to anybody else. And I think if you asked him, I think he would candidly or maybe outright admit that he made a mistake with holding on to the play calling duties. I don't give him I understand why if you're under fire, you want your fate decided by what you do. But at the end of the day, I think there were 2 indictments. One, not necessarily giving up the play calling duties when he should have, and that was a point of contention with he and the athletic director Scott Strickland. And 2, I think he surrounded himself with a subpar staff. That's the thing I love about Coach Summerall. Going back to Kelly's question, like Buster Faulkner on the offensive side. Brad White on the defensive side. You got a bunch of Gators. Phil Troutwine, great accomplished player at Florida, and most recently offensive line coach at Penn State. Bam Hartman, another Florida guy. Like, it's a good mix of experience from the SEC, from Florida, guys that have been with Summerall before, new guys. So I think hiring a staff is one of the most important things that a college coach can do now. And I don't necessarily know that just because the old masses of asses theory is not great, just because there's a lot of them doesn't mean they're any good.
Okay, you're going to love the way I pin this one. And Lewis, this will be yours after this.
All right.
In spite of the fact that Kelly has probably, rubbed off in some way on you, I happen to think you're really good at this. And I thought you said something 5 minutes ago that was really smart that I never hear. Okay, I don't know if a 2014 playoff could work. Seems to me like it would go till like March Madness would start the next day. But you said the SEC would benefit from 24 more than anybody because their middle is stronger than everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think any coach has looked at Sankey and said, listen, pal, here are the facts. Figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's posturing, to be honest with you. It's protecting television partners. I mean, you got the old Jets and the Sharks, right? The SEC and ABC and the ESPN. You got the Big Ten and Fox and those folks. So, how can Commissioner Sankey protect ABC and ESPN the best that they can, not diluting the existing contract that they have? I think that's what it's all about, because Commissioner Sankey is one of the smartest, most insightful, most patient decision makers I've ever been around. He knows that this would benefit the SEC the most. So I really believe it's about making sure that the television contracts, the dollar and cents, and everything else adds up. In addition to just getting the additional spots for the SEC teams.
Take it, Lewis.
Chris, you mentioned Florida. I mean, obviously, I think there's been a culture problem there for some time. And, I don't want to pin all that on Billy, but I think that had a lot to do with it. But the underlying thing for me is that my whole life watching Florida, you think of Florida, you think skill players and speed outside, and that just hadn't really been there, in my opinion, for the last 10 years. Do you think that is the case as well? And if it is, do you think that's been addressed?
I think there's some of that, but I think misutilization of the players you do have is also a big factor. I mean, if you're not pushing the ball down the field, if you're not, like Jaden Ball was a 25 carry a game back, and he's splitting time with other guys. Like I didn't understand the rotation. Like I want, and Kelly can speak to this as a quarterback, I want my best receivers out there every snap. I want those guys getting the bulk of the opportunity. I don't need to rotate those guys through. I do think there's been a deficiency on the lines of scrimmage. Like Florida always has had great defensive lines, and that hasn't necessarily been the case. Again, maybe some of that was scheme and the way they were being utilized. But I think you're going to see a much better utilization of talent on the roster this year. And I think it's going to make it evident that the gap between the top teams and where Florida is from a skill standpoint is not as great as maybe we thought the last decade.
And you were talking about Tennessee at media days, and you said that you learned the least from them out of every team. Can you kind of explain that a little bit? Because we have Tony Basilio on every Tuesday, and we talked about this, that because I worked for Tennessee, I worked for the Vol Network when I was in college and just graduated. But like Heupel is the most closed off dude that you will ever meet in your life. It kind of, to us, me and Tony, seemed like he opened up a little bit this year and kind of shared some more information. We kind of bounced it back and forth. Like, is that because he knows he's about to pick up DGG on Friday or on Wednesday, whenever that was? But I mean, can you kind of talk about why you didn't learn a whole lot about Tennessee at media days?
I would agree with you. I thought he was as relaxed and as engaging as he's been. When we had him on the air with us, he sat with I think it was me, Matt McCall, and Dusty Dvorak. And Dusty's a fellow OU Sooner, was on the team when Heupel was a GA there. So they have an existing relationship. Maybe that was it. He and I have become friendly. But I don't think there's a lot that we really – and maybe it's just the quarterback position. Maybe the cloudiness there about who's going to start is creating the biggest worry, or maybe it's because you're talking about a true freshman and a redshirt freshman of your top choices. Like that to me is a problem. But I do. Like I said, I'm very excited about Jim Knowles and what he does on the defensive side. I think, Deshaun Bishop's one of the best backs in the country. The offensive line, we've seen that they can, get downhill in a lot of their gap scheme runs. So I like a lot of it. I just am not feeling like I really am as confident in the Vols as maybe I am some other teams this year.
And last thing for me, Chris, I've got some coaches listed down here, and obviously, there's pressure on every coach in the Southeastern Conference or in college football for that matter every year. But, guys like Sarkisian or Heupel or DeBoer or Kiffin, who do you think has the most pressure on them going into this season? And then it's a different kind of pressure for somebody like Shane Beamer or Jeff Levy to, at least get to a bowl game or get to a 5-7 record. But, who do you think has the most pressure on them going in? The 26.
Yeah, you're right. I think Shane Beamer is the Brent Venables of 2026. Brent Venables, entered the year last year kind of with the warmest of seats. He answered the bell, and I thought Shane Beamer. I thought South Carolina did a great job of if Jim Knowles is the best defensive coordinator hire, I would say Kendall Briles is the best offensive coordinator hire of the offseason in the SEC. But in terms of pressure, there's no doubt it's LSU. It's Lane Kiffin. They've gone all in here. And one of my cohorts at the SEC Network, Jordan Rogers, said it was championship game or bust. I don't think it's quite championship game or bust, but I do think it's playoff or bust. And if you look at the schedule, it's incredibly challenging. So I think it's a pass or fail season for them. But a rung below them to me is Ole Miss. A ton of pressure on Trinidad Chambliss, getting an extra year to come back. I think he's one of the Heisman favorites in my mind this year. Very mature. I think he can handle all of it. But every year in college football is a new year in and of itself. Can they catch fire the same way that they did at the end of the year last year? They had the whole Lane Kiffin departure thing that brought everybody together. They played with a lot of confidence. Trinidad Chambliss was getting better and better as the year went on. I just worry that they're going to be able to catch that same lightning in a bottle again this year. So I think it's LSU, Lane Kiffin, and then it's Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss right below them.
By the way, great rec room. Dr. J in the right corner over there is one of the best interviews I've ever gotten to do, Chris. He was awesome.
Well, this probably won't surprise Kelly. It'll surprise the rest of you guys. I was at Chris DeMarco's golf tournament, and they had one of those, auctions after the golf tournament. So I got into it being a little bit of a competitive situation with somebody else. I had a few cocktails, was bidding maybe a little bit over my skis, and ended up winning it. And by the end of the night, we were completely hammered in the parking lot. I got the Dr. J jersey on. It wasn't framed yet. No shirt, just the Dr. J jersey on, running around with it. So it
I can see that.
Yeah, probably not the usage that the auctioneer was envisioning, but it was. We had a lot of fun with it for sure.
I love it.
Kelly, you end it.
Chris, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for everything, man. Good luck this season. We'll be watching.
Yeah, love you guys, and appreciate you having me. Let me know if we can do anything during the season.
All right, man. See you, brother.
Thanks, Chris.
He is really good. Chris Doering, appreciate him coming on with us. Have no idea why he ever hooked up in any form or fashion with Kelly, but there are mysteries like that in life.
Got a lot of that, George. I got a lot of folks like that, man. Everybody loves them some Kelly. Even you. You can sit here on the tube and on the radio and talk bad, but you know, if I called you at 2 a.m. and asked you to come get me, you would. So it is what it is.
Make it 11 p.m., not 2 a.m. After the break, one of both me and Kelly's broadcast partners at some point, MTSU play-by-play voice Chip Walters, is in the on-deck circle. The Blue Raiders are coming to town. We'll explain what we mean next on the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, we're going to have some fun here. My buddy Chip Walters is about to join us. He, of course, is MTSU's play-by-play voice. And the truth of it is he and Kelly Holcomb have known each other longer than I've known Kelly. So let's bring Chip up here. Chip, what is the craziest thing that you can tell us that Kelly has ever said to you?
Well, it would probably be that Kelly criticizing what other people wear. That might be it. So, I want to give Lewis a lot of credit, and Kelly, if the slide that you had with my picture, mine and Chris Doering's picture up there, and Kelly was giving George a hard time about his ties, but Kelly's got to like that jacket I had on in that picture.
I think sweet.
I do like that. I do like that jacket. That is nice.
But the other part, you see that gray hair right there. Right there is where it came from. Right there.
That way.
That way. Right there.
That
Way
way.
to go. Whatever. Hey, whatever, Chip. Why don't you go pound sand like everybody else?
So you're coming to town, huh?
Yeah, well, we were. That might change our mind now. No, this will be the 6th straight year of the Blue Raider Blitz, and we'll be there tomorrow night at Fat Bottom Brewery, which is on 44th Avenue North, and that will be from 5:30 to 7:30. So as soon as you all get off the air at 5, you can roll by and visit for a little bit. Lewis, that includes you. We'll have Coach Mason, some football players. We're going to have we're going to have Roman Gagliano, who the Blue Raider quarterback, who I really like, and I'm really excited for him. He's kind of, and Kelly, you know what guys in that quarterback room, if they've kind of got something, the little bit of the it factor, Roman's got that. But as you see on the screen, tomorrow night at the Reserve at Fat Bottom Brewing in Nashville. Wednesday night we'll be in Shelbyville. That is an annual stop at the Blue Ribbon Circle Club on the Celebration Grounds. And Coach Insel is in charge of the crowd that night, and it's always a packed house. Thursday at lunchtime we'll be at the Smyrna Event Center. which is where that's in conjunction with the Smyrna Rotary Club. And then on Thursday night, we wrap it up at Cedar Glade Brews in Murfreesboro. We've got a live band. We got all the usual suspects. Coach will be there. Players, Nick McDevitt and some men's basketball players will be there that night. We'll also have some women's players and coaches down in the Shelbyville stop. But all of those are good stops. They're a lot of fun. We come to Nashville, and we've gone to different locations over time, but it's a fun night. We're done in an hour or two. It's a good time for middle alums and Blue Raider fans to come out. And not only do we have a little presentation, there's a lot of one-on-one time with the players and coaches. And I mentioned the ones we're going to bring to Nashville. They include Roman Gagliano, Neo Clifton, who played at Brentwood Academy from Nashville, Jason Lowe, who played at Brentwood High School, Jason Hardy, a cornerback from Detroit, Michigan. He's a transfer from Grand Valley. And here's one that Kelly would really like, Reese Tripp. He is an offensive tackle transfer from Minnesota. He is 6'7", 365. And and I've seen him in person, Kelly, and it all checks out. And
I would take him out to dinner.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Roman is a smart enough guy. He'll probably do that. But
at 365, he's already been to dinner.
Yeah, he's been to.
Watch your hand is all I'm saying. He might eat you.
Kelly and I used to do a lot of meals over in Woodmore Cafeteria. He would put it out of business.
That's right.
Hey, tell us about Gagliano.
Roman came, he came in and he's from Opelika, Alabama, went to Opelika High School right outside of Montgomery, Auburn, right in that area. Very competitive guy there. He grew up earlier childhood down in the panhandle of Florida. So he's kind of been in some hotbeds of football growing up. He is the thing, and you all had met Nick Vattiato, great kid. Nick was, totally kind of by the book guy, and, everything was on cue. Roman kind of has, and I'm sure Roman's the same way too, but he also has he's got an air of, he doesn't mind turning it loose. He started the last 3 games of the year last year and won 2 of the 3, nearly won the third one in Bowling Green. But he's kind of got an it factor that the guys around him really gravitate to. They want to play for him, and they want to win. And not saying they didn't for Nick, but it's just a little kind of different dynamic, I guess you could say, with Roman. He just got back from being a counselor at the Manning Passing Academy, and I had a chance to talk to him a little bit on the phone one day. He just called him up, and after he'd gotten back, and said, yeah, they work with all the high school quarterbacks, and then a couple of nights during the camp, they have a little bit of a skills competition between all the college quarterbacks who are there, and on one of the accuracy throwing contests, he ended up winning that. And so he's just a guy that's kind of loosey-goosey, doesn't seem to get too tight, and just a tremendous personality. You see him everywhere around campus and around town, and I think he's a guy that you really look forward to seeing leading your football team.
Okay. Anybody got anything they want to lay out there?
Kelly, you got
Chip, I just want to get, what are your, every year with this transfer portal, we're bringing kids, we're losing kids. What is the outlook for some of the newer guys on the team? Because I think you're right. I think the Gagliano kid, I watched a little bit of him last year. I like the other kid, but liking and being able to do things, I think this Roman kid's pretty good, man. I think
he's got some wheels too.
Yeah, I think he can do things that the other kid couldn't do. But just talk about the whole team overall and what guys have we got to replace the ones that left?
Well, I asked Derek the other day about where, when you started your roster building, what were your priorities? And number one was offensive line. And I told you about Reese Tripp, and they totally went for size on the offensive line. It'll probably be the biggest offensive line just in sheer size that I can ever remember seeing put on a middle uniform. They went for some skill players as far as some wide receivers, cornerbacks, safeties. They've added to the defensive line. I mean, it's almost, Kelly, like one of the things Derek has said, he's kind of renamed the December signing period as the draft, and because that's when you go sign your high school players, and they signed about 20 high school players again this year, and a ton of them from the mid-state area, and then he calls the portal kids, he calls that free agency, and which that's kind of what it is. And
it is, yeah.
And they signed about 30 there, which when you look at those numbers, that compares very favorably with what, you look at almost any SEC team. There were, 2 or 3 that signed 35 plus out of the portal this year in the SEC. I'm not quite used to it yet, but it is the way of the world that we live in right now. But, I think that they went after position and need, and to bolster certain position areas. And, that'll kind of reveal itself as we go along. And obviously once we get into the season, things, when it starts flying for real, you get judged every week on the scoreboard as well. And I think there's certainly a sense of urgency around the football office, and Derek has spoken publicly. He goes, we need to win, and we need to win now. And, they've got a schedule that early on gives them an opportunity to come out of the gate pretty well, with a home game against Murray, road trip to Marshall, and a home game with Nevada before they open up conference play at Jacksonville State. And that may be one of the most challenging conference openers you could have. And then they have a road game at Kansas that'll be the final non-conference game, and we'll get to see their new stadium out there that they've been working on. And then you get into the meat of the conference the rest of the way. And I heard Judy McLeod talking last week, and she brought up a stat that there were 2 conferences in college football last year where more than 50% of their conference games were 1-score games or less, and it was the SEC and Conference USA. So, it is a really competitive league. We have the uniqueness of playing 3 midweek games in October, which I would rather play midweek games in Conference USA cities in October than MAC games in November. Not a big fan of Ypsilanti on November 21st. It's I'll say that. But it's they're and on the fan side of thing, they're rolling out some new stuff this year. You can see it on the website at goblueraiders.com. So over the next 3 nights and on Thursday at lunch, we'll be talking about a lot of that kind of stuff. But I'm always an optimist, and I'm fired up for what I see, and I'm fired up to see how fired up a guy like Roman Gagliano is. And he likes his linemen. He's with them all the time. And you talked about players coming back. DJ Taylor from Riverdale, who you know very well, he's back. Had a great year last year, first time out. And in the words of one of our favorite football coaches, he's got a little wiggle to him. And so, I know the new offensive coordinator, he is very much a fan of running the football. And that's another reason they went after this offensive line as hard as they did. They put a lot of their NIL resources in the offensive line, and and so they're banking on that to come through.
Hey, Chip, we're kind of running out of time here, but I just wanted to we saw each other at the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame ceremony on Saturday, but you mentioned about Sterling Marlin, who's a huge name in Columbia, where me and you are from, and he just got a section of Highway 31 in Columbia commemorated towards him. Can you kind of? But you've got a little bit deeper of a connection to him than maybe just a Columbia connection. So
I grew up 2 miles down the road from him, and back when his dad was racing Cuckoo, my dad would take me as a 10-year-old kid, and we'd run up there and watch him work on Cuckoo's car. And Sterling and I are about 2 or 3 years apart, maybe 4, and so we knew each other as kids growing up, and actually my dad and his mother are cousins, so we have a little bit of a connection there. But it was good to see you and your dad on Saturday night at the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame, and I know George talked about it a lot at the top of the show, and couldn't be more tickled of how it went. We did have one of the larger crowds we've ever had, and it was one of the more emotional ceremonies of something like that I've been to, and you could just tell what it meant to the people from radio stations from, I like to say, Mountain City to Memphis, who were honored from all across the state, large market, small market, whatever it is. It meant an awful lot to them, and that's why we keep doing that.
Chip, thank you for all the help you've given. In particular for me in the last year, as we've tried to get this thing going, and felt like there was a payoff window Saturday. So thank you very much.
Well, just try to be a good board member like you, George. So
I hope you tell him next time to beat it once you introduce him.
Well, the thing was, and Lewis is actually 100% right. George got up there, started talking, and then said, "Hit it." And they played the introduction of him. He had already introduced himself.
Thank you, Chip.
What a clown, Chip. What a clown he is.
God, we'll never hear the end of this, Chip. This was the last time you're coming on.
So I get to beat it, right?
Beat it.
Yeah.
Michael
Jackson.
Adios kazoots, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
All right, thank you.
We'll go to the break. Kelly, I'm sure we'll have a plaster bet of the day that will rise to the occasion.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, maybe.
Doubt it.
Wow.
Tips to the people. Gifts to the people.
2.5 weeks into the job.
This is my fourth week.
Well, whatever. It feels like 2.5.
He's having elderly moments more and more. Can't you see that, Lewis? I mean, we've got to be patient with him.
Yes. It's the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Tired of living with back pain? What would you do if the pain was gone?
At the Dr. Gill Center, we've helped thousands of people over the last 30 years break free from pain and get back to living life. We're committed to your outcomes, and our caring team listens, understands, and offers real solutions to neuropathy, back pain, and joint pain without unnecessary surgery or medication. Choose the clinic that listens. Choose the clinic that cares. Call the Dr. Gill Center today at 615-882-4838.
Let's make your pain-free life a reality.
Baseball is just like music. You don't believe me? Let me show you. It's jazz, improvised, and unpredictable. It's rock. The crowd explodes like a guitar through a wall of amps. It's rap, fast, sharp, all rhythm, and timing. It's country, nothing but 3 outs and the truth. Do you believe me now? Look, no matter what music you're into, the hottest track in town, Nashville Sounds Baseball. Welcome to Hit City.
Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall.
Get ready, Clarksville. The Arena Football One postseason is officially coming home to F&M Bank Arena. Your Cats have secured the top seed and are locked in to hunt down the championship. High-stakes, fast-paced Arena Football playoff action. The number one seed Cats are taking on the competition, and they need you to throw your claws up and pack the stands. Don't miss the AF1 playoff game on Sunday, August 2nd at 3 p.m. Tickets are selling fast. Go to Ticketmaster.com or myfmbankarena.com to secure your seats today. Let's bring the crown to Clarksville.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, just a few minutes left on the show. Kelly, your alma mater, Chip's right. They got to win early.
To get some excitement back, because we've talked about it for several years. There's been no excitement in that program, and people will come if they'll put a good product on the field. I really believe. I saw this Gagliano kid, though. I think he's got something that the other young man just did not have. Not saying he wasn't a good player, but there's just something about certain guys, and I think he won 2 of the last 3 and almost beat Western. So I think he's a pretty good player, and I think he does things that are kind of off schedule. But he's just as Coach Robbins, my college coach, used to say, he's just a ball player, son, and I think that's what he is.
So where does that come from, where a quarterback people just sort of gravitate to and instantly believe in? Where does that come from?
I'll be honest with you, George. I think it's God-given, man. I think I had it in me. I think it's just – you're so competitive. I've heard people talk about Scotty Scheffler refusing to give up, and that's why he wins tournaments. That's why he comes in second all the time. He's just there, whether he's on his A game or not. And I think if you're a competitor, guys see that and they want to play with that. And I think that young man is that. I had that. People see that and they just want to be behind it. They want to play with somebody like that. And all these guys, all these college coaches are searching for that, George. They're trying to find somebody like that, and they think, well, this guy can run this, but there's an it factor to it, and Chip talked about it, but there's something with the it, like competitiveness, not wanting to lose, doing anything it takes to win a game. I think people see that, they follow that. That's why I've talked about Baker Mayfield. Guy's not big. He's just that guy. Guys want to be around him. The offensive linemen love playing for him. He gets in there with them, and I think this guy from Middle is that guy.
You got to have a little dog in you, and I think Roman does. I liked when they picked him up, and I've liked him the whole time. He's athletic too, and I think that's a lot of people didn't understand why they would bring Derek Mason back for a third year, because 3-9 in both years, but the 2 out of the 3 games at the end of the season, and it was largely in part due to Roman. I mean, I think it shows a little light at the end of the tunnel. And like Chip said, they've got a good opportunity to really flip that record around this year.
Me too. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. But it all starts, George. It used to not be that way. I talk about it all the time, but the NFL has creeped down into the college level. And if you don't have somebody behind center that can play, you're behind the 8 ball. And I think Middle does now.
Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's review what went on last week. Kelly will be happy. There's a lot of red in there. But, Kelly, if you look at the very bottom,
you took your guys.
We got to win on Friday with the hot Atlanta Braves in a game that they could have easily lost. And, in fact, if we're being honest, they probably should have gotten beat in all 3 games in Baltimore and ended up winning 2 of the 3. It was insane. So the record... Kelly, in spite of that, the record is pristine at 89 wins and 71 losses. So let's just go ahead and show you tonight's victory, because it will be. We're taking the Detroit Tigers at home.
Somebody clip that.
Against Baltimore. Kelly, these are really important games over these next 3 or 4 days. Teams like Detroit and St. Louis and Pittsburgh and Arizona, they're trying to figure out, okay, are we really in the race? In Detroit's case, who knows? My gut feeling is that the only team out there that can give Detroit what they really want for Tarek Skubal is the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
They got the farm system to do it. They got the money to do it. And he probably would instantly sign long-term with them. I hear all this, the Braves are in. I don't believe that for a minute.
Till it happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong. But I just don't believe the Braves are in the Tarek Skubal sweepstakes. Tomorrow, really good show for you. We will have Tony Basilio at 3:20. We'll get into all the DGG postmortems. What's it doing on campus and in the city to excite Big Orange Country? I think I know the answer before I ask the question. And then Trevecca's athletic director, Mark Elliott, will join us at 4 o'clock. He's thinking about calling it quits soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, in your case, Kelly, please do not let the door hit you in the butt.
Nobody cares. Is that what you're saying, George?
Well, sort of. But I must run. We're out of time. So if you want to do it, feel free to. We'll see you tomorrow.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan. Not much relief heading into the evening hours as temperatures hover in the mid-70s overnight. Another hot one Tuesday with a heat advisory in effect, upper 90s with heat index values north of 105 and a few storms in the afternoon.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Our Senator Marsha Blackburn is standing up for radio listeners like us by supporting legislation to keep AM radio in cars. She knows the value of local radio in times of emergency. Now it's time for Congress to finish the job and pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act. Learn more at dependonam.com. This message furnished